Right. New entry. Doing a little bit earlier. 944. Anyways, I was gonna take this, and I still will take this someplace else, but one of the things I talk about is because I want to spark thought. So to start with this, nobody knows, man, and that is more accurate than you can ever imagine. But I do think that somebody does, which is why we're in the predicament that we are. But I love this, and this is part of the craziness that I'm talking about. And thank you so much for commenting and sharing. Very grateful, and even more so because these things happen. I don't want to get too much into it, but they give an example about paying attention to your kids, and I will get to that. My son asked what a phobia of sharks is. It's not something he would normally ask, but here you are watching my video and then commenting on that. And then you're getting all the stuff on sharks, and I get that. And then the connection with the words and the etymology. We're going to get into that a little bit too. But a bit like a time loop correction, path course, if that makes sense, which it does, because of course, we call our daughter Lincoln Shark. She is the shark. Everybody knows her as Shark. And like I said, I agree, it makes perfect sense, and I do believe that our children are a reflection of us to some degree, and that they are tuned in better since they do not have the amount of programming or conditioning that we do as adults. And then thank you for your numbers there, 8 and 19, and that 1-9. See, I've always thought the 8s are kind of the details, but 8's also that infinity. It could be the Mobius strip, which is funny. I was thinking about that same thing, which will probably come up here in a minute. I don't want to get too long on this, but just to show and to share. So again, nobody knows, and I think I've seen you comment on some other things, so I appreciate your time. But the fact that you watch a video that I was reticent to put out, anybody that has been following, and I know I have, I was weary of it, but then just like making these now, I'm not gonna be fearful, because that was crazy that out of left field she draws a whale, and the first video that I do, I'm talking about the whale's tail. And those signs like that, and the fact that my name is Jones, and from a 7th grade science teacher who mispronounced my last name as Jonas, stuck with me for a period of time. And in conjunction with Weezer, My Name is Jonas, which was a very popular song at that time, and that was a band that we did listen to at that time. But the whale, and the name, and then the 19 real quick, that 1-9, that's kind of like the alpha and omega, yeah? Because all numbers, no matter how big, how small, contain 1 through 9, the beginning and the end, because that 10 is the 1, that initial idea, if you will. And you happen to be watching that, which is pertaining to my daughter, to which you mention sharks. So I had to get that in. And then the other one, hold on, because this will start playing, forgive me, maybe. There we go. And then the Virgin, reborn. Which, of course, all of this has been happening in the Virgo constellation. Again, just to kind of tie stuff. It's just strange. And then what is an echo? Is it a form of manifestation, a silent prayer, a sense of small forms of numeric alignment, synchronicity, to see small things that line up with times, dates, people, places, lions, tigers, and bears, oh my. See, and I like the humor, and I'll stop right there too, because that goes back to the video previous with exit time, with the 2 at different times. The same number is about the Wizard of Oz. And again, I referenced in that comment that my grandmother's name was Dorothy, and now all the James have been going on. My grandfather's name was James, which I'd said. But to kind of tie in with that previous video, but also where I was gonna go with this based on review again. It is a formal coincidence. Is it a formal coincidence or a challenge to send us on a path down the rabbit hole? Indeed. To say I'm lost in the sauce is an understatement. Indeed. Going to round 2 of watching your video to see if I can break it down. Wish me luck. Well, good luck. But if I may, I appreciate it and very grateful. You know, I want this to spark those ideas, kind of like that fruit. I hope that you guys read that and what that symbolized to me, and then seeing that in that moment, taking that picture, and again, my thought pattern about the seed within the seed, and does it multiply or does it divide? And that being said, you know, you can watch this, you know, that's your prerogative. Far be it from me to tell anybody anything. This is just me sharing thoughts again, but I want this also to spark the idea that this is within all of us, and to maybe look at yourself a bit more and how it kind of projects onto you, and to bring that to the table. Again, if I could just, you know, add that verse a bit to be the adversary here. But regardless, I appreciate it. And if there's something that people see and want to, you know, add to it, you know, that they're a piece of the puzzle, which I've discussed too, even with the numbers previous, you know, good luck. But this is just, again, this is for me, but to share. So if there is something you see, because like I said, I will go back and look at these, which is, again, what this video really was about. Because, let's go. Here in that previous one, I was talking about this dog, which has appeared again, by the way. It's been wandering the neighborhood, which is fine. Not saying anything bad, good, or indifferent about it. But, you know, my buddy had texted me, and let's go to that. And he didn't, or he did text back, but he didn't pass. I said, yeah, he's good, just getting super old. But the words that I used was, you know, he's still hanging on, but he's at the precipice. And again, the dog's name is Hades. And then me saying that, man, yeah, I'd have to go, and I can't hear this, but it's there. I know it's there. Anybody that's watched this would know it's there too. That, of course, with what I had said in combination with the whale and the name, again, just to follow the train of thought, his dog was Hades, and of course we know all about this. Let's see. And of course he is the eldest son of Cronus, which is Saturn, which is time. Although this also made him the last son to be regurgitated, because the story goes he ate all of his kids because he killed, or he usurped his father, Uranus, castrated him, which is how, who was it? Not Persephone. Venus, right? I'm blanking right now, forgive me. But he and his brothers, so Hades is the brothers of Zeus and Poseidon, and Zeus and Poseidon are the same. Zeus is Jupiter in Sagittarius, and Poseidon is Jupiter in Pisces. And that is mutable fire and mutable water. There's your battle of fire and ice, but it's the same person. Just like actors, you know? You get these people that are playing these roles. Now they're one person in, quote, real life, but then they portray these characters, but it's the same person playing different people, if you follow. But I don't want to get too much into this. And of course all the depictions. And the three-headed dog, but then you see the Hades / Serapis, right? Serapis, or Osiris Apis, is an Egyptian deity. It's funny how so much of this goes back to that. And talking about Oz, Osiris and the Green Man. Let's see. And of course there's the Roman Empire, often replacing Osiris as the consort of Isis in the temples outside of Egypt. Okay? And this is what, again, kind of like the bicycle. It's what's presented. I see this dog that looks like my friend's, which I haven't seen in a while, and he texts me out of the blue, and then I see this dog, so I text him about his, but he's like, yeah, no, he's still alive, but super old. And then I make an innocuous comment about, yeah, he's still around, he's still alive, but on the precipice, like, it's like Hades' time is at an end, if you're following me now. And of course the dogs. So, and then we're given this, kind of like the Libra deal, right? That we just covered. Beware the 13th sign, but Ophiuchus in the 13th sign, raising this 13th sign. And just again how it ties the Egyptian, right? If you're following. St. Peter's Square, St. Peter. And it was brought there by Caligula in 37. There's your 3-7. And Caligula, if you recall, there was a movie made about that was NC-17. So there was the one that where he's kind of venerating Julius Caesar, JC, right? And we're still in the time, because we worship mammon, right? Money. Render unto Caesar's what is Caesar, that which is Caesar's. Render unto God that which is God's. Yep, I think I'm messing with that mic again, so if you hear that, my apologies. Yeah, but this was also to, hail to, I thought that was, there we go. Got it. He brought 2 in 10 BC. So there's the main idea, Circus Maximus. Boy, it's still bread and circus too, isn't it? But let's continue on, because I don't want to get these real super long, because it's all about this. Boy, doesn't that look like a piano? Like keys? Keys being played? Because this is one of the earliest known This is one of the earliest known, inscriptions of the zodiac. Like a full-on, not just, stars or constellations. But we pulled all these obelisks out of this place. And we even have them here, right? And this was great. This is, of course, the Washington Monument. 555 feet tall. But look at these. This is so nuts. Halted for 23 years from 54 to 77 due to funds, Civil War. There's a 27%, 27, and yes, I am pulling numbers out of this, but this is what's given to us. But I got 84, 85, 1985, and 88. And it's 500 foot tall with a 55-foot pyramidion at the top. Its walls are 15 feet. That's 555 too, by the way. And the lowest is 150 feet. That's your 1.5 again. And then, of course, for those, this is just, they got the one below it. For those that don't know, too, that's right below that they use as a marker. And of course there is one from Egypt, but it is in New York, outside of the art museum. That's from there. So let's go back. And I've got this here in case people are wondering. Obviously, James, bunch of Jameses. We know who James was going back to connect that. Of course, the whale's tail, the tail of Jonah. Orion, Osiris similarities. You see that green figure that we're given? But we are talking about this, trying to raise the 13th. But don't do this to me. See that? That's your Milky Way. Just talked about it the other night, right in between Jupiter there, Sagittarius, and Mars in water, the feminine. God, it's so much more with this. And there's your boy. Almost stepping out of that, right? And for those that don't know, this is also referred to as the Golden Gate, the Gate of the Gods. Yeah? And if we follow the yellow brick road, it takes us right to this guy. In between these two, which are Artemis and Apollo. There's your Zeus and Poseidon as well. That's my thought. Romulus and Remus and Taurus. But of course we got Orion And there's your Serapis. Happy, the bull god, and all the symbolism that we've had with the red between the corns or the horns. Anybody that doesn't know, corn and horn are essentially the same, just like Cornelius is Latin for horn. There's your bull. There's your wizard. There's your twins. Serapis, because the symbolism too. Anybody catch the Commonwealth games? The bull that was angry in the chains, and all the women pulling it out, and the black woman. I only put emphasis on that just because, again, alchemical, black is earth, and this is earth, and it is a feminine sign. And its color is black. Air is red, fire is yellow, water is white, earth is black, just like the color wheel. Just like in alchemy, just like in a lot of Indian lore, Native American. There's your Appy. There's your Serapis from the twins. Took a little detour. We don't talk about this one. I mean, we do. It's probably one of the most noticeable constellations when it's up and present in the sky, besides like maybe a Big Dipper. And this is something I've heard, so let me stand up. A little bit of kind of cosmology. And I'm not asking you to believe this, because I don't know. But I know that there's a story, it says, in a beginning, that God created heaven, air, and earth, right? And then he said, let there be light. He divided the waters from the waters. And then there's that moon. The gods of heaven came down, came into the daughters of man to bore the lion kings, the lying kings. We're back to mom and cardinal water, and we aren't having that. And there was a great flood to make way for a new heaven. Whoops. That's mutable air. It's the bottom rung, if you will. Not to label it, but it just kind of is in the pecking order. And a new earth. But something carried over. We had a little bit of magic inserted, right? Something was conscripted and taken over. And that's the flock. Since we're talking Egyptian mythology and stuff, the seven sisters, the Pleiades, that's also the flock. And the flock escaped Egypt, but they got sent to the Leviathan, to the beast, because the law was handed down. Right, thou shalt not versus let there be. Thank you, Louvet. Tied to this period we're in right now. See that? And we've talked about that. That's Alrisha. It's the tie. The knot tied to this beast. Trying to make it through this whale. Like my daughter drew. And here I am, Jones. To stem from an innocuous comment while reviewing about my buddy's dog, Hades. And I know I'm missing some stuff, but it is what it is. It'll occur to me. And again, I don't accept that as fact, by the way. You know, these are just thought experiments. These are stories that we're presented with. But it's funny, all the symbolism that we've seen with this, you know, a red disc. This is the red planet. So this isn't a stretch for anybody that's watching. And again, we talked about these and the names of these stars like Auretia. I don't want to get too deep because I want people just to think and be in wonder and then to look for oneself and get it into that conscience. Because then when you do, and these are lined up, because that's also a representation of Hades, is it not? Yeah, look that up. Look at its moons. All the name of the moons that's associated with it. And I turn that side to side, so forgive me, because it's easier for me to scan the sky, if you will, with it horizontal as opposed to vertical. But I mean, we're presented stories, right? Here's one, and the Libra one, remember? And that Hades. And we know all about the Roman, right? And that it's associated with the subconscious. So when our conscience and our subconscious become more in a line, these things don't affect as much. And the way I kind of equate it to, you know, figuring this out, or, you know, telling these stories or trying to explain it, it's like explaining a joke, you know? Because once you do that, it's just not funny anymore, is it? Because then you start realizing 24, huh? That's weird. Hold on. I saw that over here last night, or maybe it was earlier when we were trying to find the moon, because today's the third day past the new moon, and it's only the first day that I've caught a glimpse of it. And I wasn't expecting that first day after. I was hoping to see it. But now she is in Libra. So if you want to say, well, the first day you've seen it, but that's not when it happens, right? That's not. Because if this is our heart, this is more or less our voice amongst a litany of other things. But again, man, I gotta stop doing that, because it bothers me watching it too, I'll be honest with you. And sorry about the noise on this chair too. I don't know why I'm apologizing, because I have nothing to apologize for, but it's annoying as hell, but it's also so comfortable and convenient. But how we follow all this stuff that always goes back to Egyptian and or Babylonian, which are probably just the same thing. Again, they're different actors. Oh, and if you're wondering about this, because I talked about the law, you can believe in the 10 Commandments. This is something I am firm on. I don't buy any of that, because it also says this, that there was one. See that? And it's kind of two, but it even says in the second is likened to itself, because it is. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. And And this is the first great commandment, and the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And how they are the same, in my opinion, is because if you love your neighbor as yourself, and yourself is to the first, because I definitely don't liken myself to gods, because I don't want this to be misconstrued or taken out of context. Yes, those mean the same thing, but I like to put it out there. But I'm creating a video right now. I can build a fence or draw a picture. I'm creating something, and not to mention I have children, so I have created life. Right? Let it sink in. I've created, been a part of, but created nonetheless life. Yeah? What did God do? In whose image were we made in? These are the things we're told. These are stories we are presented with. Right? Fair? So that is one and the same. Make a little sense, especially with the names. God, this is so good. The story of Jonah and the whale, one of the oddest accounts in the Bible, opens with God speaking to Jonah, son of Amittai. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that, though. Commanding him to preach repentance to the city of Nineveh. And that's heaven backwards, by the way, for all those that are named Nevaeh. You can parse that any way you want, and vowels are free-for-alls. They are. There were no vowels to L. It also says in this book, too, right? No oaths. Jonah rebels and gets swallowed by a great fish, repents, and at last fulfills his mission. Are you following me? So, why do we follow this? Why do all these things? And again, I'm not a super interesting guy. That I get comments right after. It's going to start playing again, so sorry. And I am sorry for that, because the entry, pause, there we go. That I put out a video with my daughter, my youngest in it. She's 3, by the way. And you tell me about your son and a phobia of sharks. What am I to do with that? Because you can go back. I don't get many comments. I mean, this I put in, there's no difference to me in my mind between this and then watching the video on crashes and then watching the boy crash. That at that moment, or turning over to a video at a particular time that has a certain amount of views. Certain amount of views. Did I pass it? I probably did. There it is. I mean, that could have been 32. That could have been 117. 117, sorry. But it could have been any number, right? And then 2 hours ago, I mean, it could have been released at any time. This is when I happened to notice it, and then go on and then make a video where, I show how these things kind of go from one to the next to the next. And then also on this, the 2510. I don't know, man. But it's funny, you know, here's the feed today. And it's funny, another thing that's funny, I mean, this all has to be right, but I mean, I'm waiting for the joke to be explained. But of course, this dart thing that happened on the 26th or 7th, this past Monday, a few days ago. And of course, we got cornered. Chance of using nukes. And what were they doing up there to try to divert? And that was Dionysus, I believe, because it was a twin star, and how that even equates to Orion. And then, of course, the time, when do we turn back? The day the Venetians blew up the Parthenon. September 26th. September 26th is when that up at the top happened. We don't have to worry about that. They built another one in Tennessee, right? Here's another funny one. So I'm sure anybody else has this. They give you like these daily updates from like the day previous. And I rarely check this out. It'll give me a notification every now and then for some reason about like usage, but they've got the 3 hours, 3 minutes. You know, the creativity, 1 hour 42 is your 4-2. Entertainment, 53 or 35. And then Google, Gmail, Skyview, 5 minutes apiece. Isn't that weird? Then my old lady gets home, and then she does this other thing where she helps out at this bingo hall. I think I may have mentioned that. And she gets tipped a lot in quarters, as you can imagine. And she sets these quarters down, and as you can see, she slammed them. Those little scuffs are on my desk. Regardless, you can count those out. There happened to be 42. I made 2 even stacks, just stacking them up for her, and I counted them because I do things like that now. And it was 21. That's today. 407. 407. 1107. 1044. I don't know. 8, that's 9. That just noticed those two. That's just an airplane. Now that was funny. I tried to get a picture, and it looks like a banana. That's the moon. Banana. I should have done that. Oh well. Let's see. But to those that comment, man, I really appreciate it. I really hope it sparks. And then I hope that fruit thing, God, that's very prescient right now too. Just how those veins and what fruit is produced. And of course that's talked about in the book as well. When I say the book, that's the Bible. Many a time, not only, what kind of fruit you produce, but also, the seed bearing and the seed within itself to go forth and multiply. And it was on that one too. Great. Time, Saturday. Sorry. God dang. And the ideas are like seeds implanted in your mind. And that's what I think these echoes are. When we see these ideas repeated, and I've mentioned it too, the old ideas with these new ideas attached to them. And then it hijacks it, or it's just an echo of it. So when we're speaking about it, and if words have meaning, what are we speaking to? What are we speaking about? And manifestation, I mean, again, I know this to be. I've just recently, that fire pit that you saw. If you go through my, I don't remember what one it was, but on Mac 1234 Golf, exchanged a couple ideas with her, and I told her about that, and I wanted a fire pit for new moon or full moon fires, but just to get out with the family and do something and be outdoors, and just to create something within us and for the neighbors to come by and hang. But I was looking for one, and I had been, and then I don't like going out and spending money. And it's not because I'm just frugal or cheap or anything, but I don't care. I don't care about mammon. I don't care about money. Just like this, I don't do this for the likes. I don't do this to get, a whole bunch of subscribers, subjects, follow the words. I'm not gonna try to get you to drink mud or sell you a shirt. I don't care about any of that shit. Not while stuff like this is going on. And to me, it means so much more. And lost in the sauce is an understatement. Man, you and me both reborn. So tell me what you think around 2. I mean, I've done that too. I watch videos multiple times too. If it's something, especially when it sparks an idea, there's a number of people, that's happened, and then they say something, and then all of a sudden, an explosion almost goes off, and then before you know it, 5, 10, whatever minutes have elapsed on the video, and you're like, crap. And you got to go back and find the spot and just re-listen to it, or just re-listen to the whole thing again. So I get that, and I understand that because I have experienced that myself, so I understand. I have that understanding. But I wish you luck, but I also wish that this opens your mind's eye to the things that are going on around you, and then come to here. I'm not telling you just to do this, but then come to here and just be like, man, I don't make videos, but here's something's going on with me, and here are these numbers, and this is kind of going on. So if we can make correlations to these things that we're seeing, but the thing that's such a mind bender, I'm trying not to curse here also, which is a crazy thing because all words are curse words, by the way. They are. We designate a few words and call them curse words, but if you don't know what you're saying or what you're speaking to or of, aren't they all curses? And we use these words and spell and cast them out. But I would like you to, man, this is going on. So it's just like, it's no different than seeing or tasting something or feeling it. When you feel it, you can say, yeah, that's smooth, that's hot, that's cold, that's sharp, that's rough. When you look at something, you can kind of tell the same thing, how far away it is, if it's a particular shape, if it's a person, if it's a dog. When you taste something, man, that's sweet, that's sour, that's spicy hot, oh, that's hot, oh, that's cold, it's ice cream, what have you. And I believe that these are kind of a similar thing, that if something's going on, when you're presented with it, just to elaborate a little bit more where I'm coming from, and to help those that are witnessing this too, to just, again, I want to inspire that wonder, because we are the sowers of man. And does that multiply? Does that idea that I led you to lead to more things and opening you up a little bit? Be more aware, be more open in general. And then again, conversely, because everything is in duality, you got good and bad. Not just the good stuff that happens, but also the bad. And that that this is almost like I wouldn't even call it a sixth sense, because I believe we have more than just the five that we're told, right? Because anger is a sense of anger. It's a feeling, right? Just like when you touch something. Thank you. I think it's all of those things. And it could be none of those, right? But it's something. And then when I talk about lining up the dates and times and the places in the media, in the arc of the media, which connects those ideas through us, through the news, papers, olden times, and then the news on the television. And isn't just a vision something in your mind's eye? Like I envisioned winning that pool tournament. But specifically me. And being able to handle a little bit better because, just like, throwing a ball or riding a bike, the more you do it, the more you practice, the better you get at it. Right? Fair? Improve my words. But again, when I'm presented this, and I've made other videos, it's gonna play again, and I'm almost done. But I just see. And I do this. Nobody knows. When they say something or when they do something, and it's not everything, because then you can't really live your life, right? Then you're trying to parse out every little thing happens. But, it's those things when something happens, and then again, I'm going back to it, but the 412 or the 214 or the bicycle, and all of a sudden that pops into your head. And okay, so what put that there? What made me think of that at that moment? What made me step out to witness this? What made me click on this video at this point in time with these numbers? So yeah, I do definitely pay attention to that. And this has actually helped me I don't even know how long it's been. Because like I said, this has been happening my entire life. Definitely not to this degree, so I don't want to mislead you, those that are listening. And I've referenced this in the past videos. I've had deja vu just more times than I can count throughout my life, and ESP, like seeing stuff and just having feelings. And every time I get a gut feeling and I go against it, I have been burned. Every time. Right? I know you guys can relate out there. But again, to get a message, and we'll see, look at this. 6 views. I've got 10 subscribers. And again, I don't care about subs. Don't pull me onto that. I stated that, but I'm just, for example purposes, you see what I'm talking about. You can go view any number of mine. I think I've got like 12 out or something now. It doesn't matter. But I don't have much, and I don't have many views. And the fact that one of them, which has my daughter in it, that I was contemplating on whether or not to air that too, just because of where did that come into her head? I didn't talk about that stuff with her. And she's not up that late either. It was after 11:30. You saw the picture. And I didn't mind her coming out, because that doesn't happen ever. And I love my daughter, and I love spending time with her, and I love seeing her, or love just seeing her, yeah, but seeing me in my element too, as I come out here and I contemplate, and I tell her that, when we are out here. You know, we have neighbors. We got to be mindful of that. You know, we're not going to play. We're going to sit and we're going to watch the stars. And we can have discussions, but we're going to kind of settle down and, you know, review the day. You know, talk about things. So I didn't mind her coming out. But where did that come from? And she drew that after I said that this is the magic moment. With my little shark bait. And you said a phobia of sharks. So, like I said in my previous video, that's not nothing. This is something. Because your son could have said anything. You could have not watched this video. You could have not responded. You're the only one. And I've only had a couple comments on here. And every one that I have, I've ended up making a video because it'll always sync back to something. Right? Which is probably why you're watching mine. Right? I don't know. I don't like to assume either. And normal for me, because it's expected now. And is that the practice that I was talking about? You know, working on this other site, if you will. I hate putting it like that. Oops. So thank you to Nobody Knows and the new VIRGINiaReborn. So if you happen to see these, let me know what you think about that. Tell me where that thought pattern leads you. Because I already have. And it's shown to us. Right? We're not so different, right? We got that skin, we got that meat, if you will, the veins, and that seed inside of us. Yeah? And I know a lot of these pretty big dumps, if you will, like information dumps, but this is, again, me just putting my thoughts to video instead of paper. Because like I said, this is something, and somebody knows something. Right? Nobody knows? Because we know somebody does. You know, creator? Because here's one more thought experiment that I ponder about a bunch. Because we're the only things on this planet that not only pay to be here, right? The only ones that talk. And we're told, you know, whales, like dolphins, that they have a language. You know, it's supposed, it's assumed, it's kind of proposed, I guess. But we're the only ones, and we've got all these languages, all these divided languages. But we're the only ones that really pay attention to this stuff too, right? You know, any other animal in this place, plant, animal, you know, they go about their business. something bumps into them, they just keep it moving. But we don't. We don't. Why is that? When you're looking up into the luminaries, the stars, the planets, and I only say that because then people know what I'm talking about. Again, there's the language thing. Oh, you said planets. No, don't label that. Don't label me. But what if you didn't know what those were? If someone didn't tell you, oh, we're in a solar system, this is that, this is this. But you could go out there and empirically see these stars move across the sky each night, each year. And the wandering stars, the wandering luminaries move through them. And we're the only ones that really pay attention to it. And not to say that the animals aren't in sync with it by any stretch, because quite the contrary, I think that they're the ones that have achieved something as opposed to humans, even though that we put ourselves on this pedestal and think ourselves high and mighty, and yet we can't even get along with nature, while everything else seems to work harmoniously in sync. Their lives are just synchronicities. But again, just again going back in review, and then stuff that happens, and again, not much. I'm just trying to figure it out, because I don't. Cheers.